Good morning, everyone. Nice to see everyone. I'll give you a second to hop in. Hopefully, someone shows up today. It's been a while um, since I've done a live stream, and was taking a little bit of a break. But today, I thought I'd talk about the saints for today, Saints uh, Photios and Saints John and Barsanouphios. Good morning, Mela. Probably won't hang out too long, but good to see you. So I took a break. Maybe you noticed. Just a lot going on this month, but I wanted to tell you I got some poison oak, and whenever I get poison oak, I get really allergic to it. So I have to take pretty strong medication, and it makes me kind of wired and not quite myself. So I took a few weeks off to rest and do some sewing. Made this dress while I was having some time off, and I think I really needed that. I'm not quite 100% yet, but I still kind of missed all of you, and just wanted to check in and say hi. So not too much to say today, but so today we remember Saint Photius, who was a great patriarch of the church, and also Saints John and Barsanouphios. So um, in my last children's book review, I talked about the different compilations of Lives of the Saints. The Great Synaxarion was one that I mentioned, and that's what I'm going to read a little bit from today. And just to show you in today's example, like what a gem these books are, there's over 100 pages just on St. Photius. And so I haven't even gotten past maybe page 4 or 5 on this one. But even just reading the first few pages of a saint's life, sometimes, our lives are busy. We don't always have time to read 100 pages in one day. They're still so edifying. And if you don't know much about St. Photius, he's someone that I'm trying to learn more about, but my understanding is that he was a patriarch in times of great upheaval in the church during iconoclasm. And so the church was kind of flipping back and forth between, having icons and not having icons. We had the Empress Theodora in this time period. St. Methodius, I think, is around the same time. So this story, I think, is so important for us because we are in hard times in the church. There's a lot of hot topics, maybe, or controversies that the church is working through, and we don't always know the right path forward. We know the theology of the church, of course, but sometimes there are complications. And so reading the life of St. Photius and other saints who had similar struggles is so instructive for us, And then I just wanted to read you just a little paragraph from him about his upbringing, about his youth, So it says, from his youth, Photius shone forth in chastity and was inclined to quiet, prayerful, and monastic life. Later in life, as Patriarch Photius of Constantinople, he wrote to the Eastern patriarchs, quote, "Even as a child, I longed to be free of life's concerns and affairs, and to pay attention only to that which was my concern. From childhood on, there grew in me, and with me, a love for the monastic life. When considering a career for myself, he admitted to being smitten in soul with a celibate life, but never wished to become a priest. Commenting on this, St. Photius said, I wished very much to live alone, and I made a resolution to keep myself aloof from business and noise, and to enjoy the peaceful delights of private life." Good morning. I haven't seen you here before. Is it B. Arnold or Barnold? Nice to see you. Welcome. But just that little bit, just to hear someone say that they desired the quiet life. That's so inspiring to me. We can get so caught up in the internet and the busyness of our lives, but to just hear someone say, we just want to step aside and think about God and live for God. It's such a beautiful thing. And I also thought, oh, great. Kyle's a great guy. Thank you. And I was also thinking that, people in the church who are called to the priesthood and especially the hierarchs of our church, we have to pray for them so much. They have so many cares. And if you read the full life of St. Photios, you'd see this, just a great time of turmoil in the church. And they need our prayers so much. But what struck me about that little paragraph was that he didn't desire that. He didn't desire to be in charge or to guide the church, right? But he took it up as the calling that God had for him. And I think that's something that we can all learn from, to not desire the higher things, but that just allow what God has for us. Sorry, guys, I am still a little bit under the weather here, so I'm not quite myself today. But so the other saints for today are Saints Barsanouphios and John, and there's an entire book of their writings, and it's kind of in a question and answer form. It's also contained in the Synaxarion, like I mentioned. So I just want to read a little bit of this. They talk about so many things, and they are actually saints from Gaza. So I thought that was really interesting too. We don't often hear of very many saints from Gaza, but it is, of course, a traditionally Christian land. So just a few little bits from this. Some of the advisements and admonitions of Abba Barsanouphios and John are in their book. When dealing with blasphemy, the sin was as advised as follows. Strive to mend thy ways. Thou hast not taken care for the virtues, but hast chosen the opposite, that is, anger, irritability, and what is total ruin, blasphemy. Strive to mend thy ways. The past is forgiven thee, but from now on mend thy ways. For 40 days offer penance to God, making 3 vows daily, saying, Forgive me, my God, the sinner who has blasphemed against thee. Profess thy faith before him thrice daily with those same lips that have blasphemed him, saying, Glory be to God, my God, and blessed art thou forever. Amen. And do not fall again into this sin, lest something worse should befall thee. From insensibility of thy heart thou hast fallen into anger, and from anger hast passed to withdrawing from the Holy Communion. Then, being wholly captured, thou hast fallen into the mode of blasphemy. Had not the hand of the merciful God and the prayers of the saints prevented it, thy soul would have fallen into the destruction of despair. Behold, God says to thee through me, the least of all, thou hast sinned. No longer go on sinning, lest a worse thing should befall thee. Pray also for thy past sins. God is merciful, and if we wish to mend our ways, he forgives us our sins. So, good morning, Post. Good to see you. So just a beautiful reading there about blasphemy, the sin of blasphemy, and how to fight it. And this is what their writings are like. It's just really short things like that are so instructive, even if that's not something you struggle with. I think you can still learn so much, right? Like if you fall into a sin, you're supposed to practice the opposite virtue, and always remembering God is merciful. So one more on lust. For one suffering from passion and lust, the following exhortation was given. Thy love asked me about the fact that at times thou lookest with passion on a man, and thy soul is carried away. This obviously refers to attacks by the devil. At those moments thou shouldest imagine how we shall change in our coffins, the corruption and stench of our bodies after death. Keep also before thine eyes the future last judgment before God, and imagine the lot of those who behave thus. How great the shame when our actions are revealed before angels, archangels, all men, and the just judge. Hear him who said, Cease being led astray. Neither fornicators, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor masturbators, nor homosexuals shall enter the kingdom of God. And everyone who looketh on a woman in order to lust after her did already commit adultery with her in his heart. Thus thou must remember these words, and not pay frequent visits to those who cause this struggle in thee. But do not reveal to them why thou withdrawest from them, lest they should give rise in them to all kinds of thoughts. Good morning, Denise. So we're just reading a little bit from Saints John and Barsanouphios. They are the saints for today, along with Saint Photios, the great patriarch of Constantinople. So, how are you guys doing? Just wanted to do a quick check-in with all of you and see how you're doing. As I mentioned, I've kind of been struggling physically with some stuff, and it's been pretty heavy spiritually as well over here. And I was reminded of a saying by Saint Sophrony, who said, "When you are on the brink of despair and you feel like you're about to be overcome, take a moment and have a cup of tea." And I think that's kind of been my January. So I hope you've had a better month than I have, but it's been quite a struggle. So I was thinking about this and about, what can we do if we're kind of in the need for a little tea break. And if that's you and you need a break, reach out to some friends, go for a walk. But there's some really great books I wanted to share with you that are still spiritual and encouraging, but a little lighter. Maybe have some humor or just kind of easier than maybe some of the more heavy reading that you guys are probably all doing. And the first would be, if you haven't read this book, the Everyday Saints. Have you guys read this before? And Yamela, everyone I know has been sick for the last month with, viruses and colds and things. So something's definitely been going around. But have you guys read Everyday Saints? This is kind of a must read, I think. It's so good and it's so instructive, but it's just kind of easier. I usually use books like this after Pascha when we're all worn out and we just need something a little lighter. But I recently talked to a lady, Matushka Konstantina Palmer, and she has a couple of books out. So I would highly recommend these. The first one, I'll show them to you. I read this years ago. Ascent of Holiness. Have you guys read this? It's a really lovely book and a very unusual book, and a book I think that's really good for women because Matushka and her husband spent much time in Greece at the Aristotle University in Thessaloniki, and they got to know many, many different monasteries over several years, and they developed really strong relationships with in particular, the women's monasteries there. And so they would visit very often and had many spiritual experiences with the sisters and with other elders. And so this book is full of those experiences. And she's changed names in monasteries, so you can't tell who it is. But living next to a monastery, I can tell you it's very accurate of what it's like to be kind of see the interior life of a women's monastery, which is often very hidden, right? Nuns, all monastics are very private about their lives, but the women monastics in particular tend to, keep their private lives very private. And so this is a kind of an interior look. So these are from Ancient Faith Radio, Denise. The other one she has is on, this one I'm just starting, and it's Stories of Christian Trial and Victory, The Sweetness of Grace. And Matushka told me that she has a third book coming out right now, so I'm really excited about that. But the other thing I'll say about, especially the first book, The Ascent of Holiness, is that, there's only one gospel for all of us Christians, whether you're a layman or a monastic, and whether you're a male or a female. But there is something, the way that women express Orthodox spirituality is just different than the way men express this. And if you've been to a women's monastery versus a men's monastery, I think you will probably very clearly be able to see this. And so you can, as a woman, you can enter into a women's monastery when you visit more than you can with the men's. But you'll know that the men's monasteries are, there's kind of a, I don't want to misspeak here, maybe more of a gung-ho, very manly spirit about it, right? But the women are more gentle. There's more laughter. There's more talking with the visitors. It's women, right? So you get to see what the Orthodox faith is like expressed through pious women, and it's got its own flavor. And so I think this book does a really wonderful job of showing that to you. So guys, I don't really have much else to say today. As you can tell, I'm still not quite myself. Had a loss of words, which is unusual for me, but I hope you're all well. I'll probably be doing live streams, probably more like once a month from now on, once I'm feeling better. And yeah, just missed you guys, so I thought I would jump in and say hi. Would I ever join a monastery? Well, I don't know. God knows. I would never leave my husband to join a monastery. In fact, Saint John and Barsanouphios, the little excerpt in between the two that I read, answered that question, which I think is really important for people to understand that if you're already, whatever path you pick, you need to stay on that path. So if you're on the monastic path, you should stay there. And if you're on the married path, which I am, I have 4 children already, you should stay on that path unless either by mutual consent or if one spouse dies. That's okay. It's a great question. And because I think people can get zealous, when we join the church, maybe you're married and people think, oh, I would love to do that. But you can be a saint as a married person. And this is so important to understand that you can become holy in married life. So, yeah, exactly, Denise. Holy men being men and holy women being women. And so we shouldn't run from married life. Whatever God calls you to is blessed and is good and is a path to salvation. And I think it's dangerous if we, I know that's not what you're asking, but if people start to waver one way after they've already chosen, that's kind of the danger area. So, I hope my husband and I have a long life together, but God only knows what's in store for us in the end of our life. But I do know women who are widowed who have joined the monasteries. That's a real thing. It's a little different than when they join as young ladies. So if you have any other monastery questions, I can answer those. Just so you know, I live next to a monastery and have connections with a handful of other monasteries. We traveled. We've probably been to maybe like 8 here. And then we've traveled around Greece as well and visited someone there. Oh, hi. Unconditional love and no judgment. Nice to see you. I've never seen you here before. Do you know women's monasteries in Canada? I do not. However, Matushka Konstantina, that I just showed the books for, she is closely connected with some of the monasteries in Canada because she is in Newfoundland. And I actually hope to, it's been kind of in my mind. It's strange you asked me that. It's been in my mind for the last 2 weeks that maybe I should travel up there and see the monasteries there. So, are you up in Canada? We have a lot of good people up there. I do plan on eventually doing a stream on visiting monasteries, but again, I've just been kind of unwell lately, so I'm not quite ready to do that. But I hope to have that out for Lent, because if you have the opportunity to visit a monastery, I highly, highly recommend it. In fact, Denise, I have one for you to visit that I think you would love. It's on 101 in Northern California. So you and I can talk privately later, but it's just so encouraging when you go to a monastery. You can be spiritually renewed. You don't realize how much the weight of the world is on you until you get there and you spend a night or two and you just kind of feel it all go away. We have one in Bluffton, but they are full. It's very small. Yeah, thank God, since Elder Ephraim came to America and started all of these monasteries back in the late 90s, we now have many monasteries in the Greek Archdiocese, and they tend to be, there's a few that are small, I think, but some are quite large now, maybe like 40 monastics. And but there's a lot of really good other monasteries. There's several really good OCA monasteries in California, um, and we've heard of the good ones that we haven't visited, within ROCOR and other jurisdictions. So thank God we have lots of really wonderful monasteries, and you just there's nothing like visiting a monastery if you haven't done it before. It's just kind of required for Orthodox, I think. Excuse me. So yeah, so if you guys don't have any other questions, I guess I'll let you go for today, and forgive kind of the week stream here. Hopefully I'll be back to myself next week, but God bless you all. Wow, you were Jehovah's Witness for 50 years. Wow, baptized 5 years ago. Well, glory to God. That's wonderful. That's really wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, at my next reading, I hope to bring you Saint Photony. She should be in a few days. This is the Samaritan woman, the woman at the well that the Lord meets. And she's just a beautiful, beautiful saint. I was thinking about her this morning, and how she just leaves her water pot and runs off to tell everyone about the Lord. And I kind of wish I could put my cares down in that way, but I hold them onto them a little too hard. But that's one thing about Saint Photony that I love, is that she's just all in. Once she meets the Lord, she turns away from her whole life and goes fully on board with him. And she is called an equal to the apostles for that. She brought many people to the Lord. So I'm excited to share her story with you, just not what's in the Bible, but also what happens after that. And then we'll have Saint Kirana and Saint Philothei, both new martyrs of the Turkish yoke, coming out this month. So stay tuned. I might not do too many kind of opinion pieces, just because I'm not feeling well, but I'll try to keep up on the reading. And hey, Vietnamese, we're just shutting down. Sorry about that. Yeah, people don't realize that. Hey, Post, by the way, if I didn't say hi, the monasteries in Pennsylvania, I've heard that Pennsylvania is sort of a hotbed for Orthodoxy. It's been there a really long time. I think the Serbs and the Russians were there a long time ago, so it's almost indigenous in that area now. Saints Perpetua and Felicity, I have to admit, Mel, I haven't read about them yet. I know the names, but I haven't yet read them. I think, actually, Konstantina, Matushka Konstantina, I mentioned, she has a book on them right now. Post, don't run from your vocation, right? Yeah, what I was talking about earlier with married life or monastic life, that's right. You always have to, bloom where you're planted. And once you pick, and again, both paths are blessed to pick, whether it's monastic or married life, both are paths to salvation. And it is really important that we don't second guess what we've chosen, that we're fully on board with whatever. We've been having a lot of odd happenings with Pennsylvania Orthodoxy too. Yeah, I don't know anything about that. Thank God. I'll confess to you guys, like, being online, it's a little bit, this last month, as I mentioned, I haven't been well because of the poison oak and the medicine I've been on, but for that, and antibiotics and just a bunch of stuff. But also the spiritual side is kind of seeing some of the things online that I find really distressing. And I'm just trying to flee right now from any kind of online controversies. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but every time there's some kind of controversial video that comes out, if you notice, it's on a feast day or the day before. And I don't think that's by accident. I think these things are meant to, distract us and get people riled up before a feast day. So I'm trying to be a little more careful about that. I made a list, actually, of all the videos that came out since June, and every single one was on or before a feast day. So forgive me, Manny, I don't know what you're referring to, but maybe it's just odd, just normal odd, not internet odd. But I meant to share that with you guys. That just be careful as we're going into Lent. Something's going to happen. Some big thing is going to come out, and it's just not a time for us to, be into controversies and things. And we should be focused on prayer, and especially, things that we have no control over. When people start sharing things about a hierarch that's, in another country or another state and in a different jurisdiction, I kind of wonder why we want to know all these things. It's I really feel like it's a barrier to prayer and to peace. And that was the other thing about Saint Photius. If you remembered what I just read, it was like he wanted to mind his own business. And I need to do that more. Just like, this is my life, and then my little channel here that I try to share with you what I can. But the internet will drive you crazy. There's a lot of crazy ideas out there, even from Orthodox people. And just shut it off and go pray or read a book, take a walk, do something real, guys. So, okay, sorry guys. Yeah, I think you can probably tell just by the way I'm talking. I'm not quite ready to be back here. So, love to all of you guys. Great to see you. Thanks for being here. And I'll let you know beforehand before I do another live. This was kind of last minute. Yeah, always focus on God, and that'll let all the other stuff just fall away. Put them in the water pot, leave them by the well. So, all right, take care, everyone.